Welcome home, everyone. This is a podcast for those who belong nowhere and everywhere. Today, I'm joined by our guest, María. And today, we're going to be talking about our experience in the U.S.
Yeah.
We have both lived there and have had similar experiences, different cities, though. So the question for today is, have you ever lived somewhere that never truly felt like home? Whether it was because of visa issues or cultural differences, or you just always felt like you were one step away from leaving. Yeah, we're going to be talking about how moving away changed our perspective on the U.S. And yeah, so I'm very excited to talk about this topic because I recently moved here from the U.S. I think you did too.
Yeah, 10 months.
10 months ago? Okay, so you came straight here from...
No, I didn't come straight. I spent almost 2 years in Honduras, but yeah, I had a little break in between.
Okay, nice. I, on the other hand, when I moved back to Spain from the U.S., New York, I spent 2 months in Marbella, my home.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Madrid. But technically, I'm in my home country.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Maybe I'll go somewhere after this. I don't know. But I'm pretty happy here. So, yeah. So this is María. She's from Honduras. I think you're probably the only person I know from Honduras.
Yes. There's a few of us here now. So maybe I'll meet more.
Yeah, true. I remember, I think the guy who owns the... Cafeteando.
Oh yeah,
he's from Honduras.
Yeah. I've talked to him, but I think he moved here a long time ago. So.
Yeah. Have you ever met any other
Yeah, people that I know, acquaintances, people that went to my school. Sometimes I run into them in Ola Vida.
Really? That went to your
all
school?
The time. Yeah.
Okay.
In Ola Vida specifically,
because it's a small country.
Small country, small cities.
Okay.
Small communities. But yeah. That's why we're here.
But they kind of trickle around.
Yeah, it's also a country that people move out of quite often. So, unfortunately, it happens.
And what part of Honduras are you from?
I'm from San Pedro Sula. So it's like the north side.
Okay, cool.
Close to the Caribbean, but you got to take a flight to actually get to the nice beaches.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I remember you told me that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what was your first experience leaving Honduras? Was the first time you left Honduras, was it to go to the U.S.?
Yeah, when I was 18, that was my first experience leaving. But I do remember from a young age that I always wanted to leave and just explore the world. I think the first memory I have of wanting to leave was like in 8th grade. I don't know why. I had friends or family that were moving abroad to study or doing like a year abroad. And I was like, oh my God, I really want to do that. Yeah. That was like my dream. So I think it's something that I always wanted to do. And since I was young, I mean, I went to an American school as well. So since I was young.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So it was always like kind of expected that I would be applying to universities in the U.S., so that was kind of the process. So I did leave when I was 18. I went to study in D.C., Washington, D.C. And
where did you study?
I went to American University initially for undergrad. Okay. And then I worked for a few years, and then I did my master's. I did an MBA at Georgetown.
You did an MBA at Georgetown?
Yeah, I think I told you guys.
No, I don't think you did.
I don't know. Maybe not.
I feel like you guys
we have like secret lives.
Yeah, no, but like you guys are so low key about where you went to school. I remember when I asked Isa where she studied, and this was a few weeks
she was like
after...
Cambridge, and I'm like, I know where you went.
No, literally, this was a few weeks after I had like known her, and she was like, oh yeah, I went to Harvard. I was like, what? Like so casually. But yeah, no, I didn't know that. Okay, MBA in Georgetown. Cool.
Yeah. So I was there a total 11 years, 10 years in DC, and then my last year I spent it in Miami.
Okay, cool. My brother-in-law went to Georgetown.
For master's or undergrad.
I think undergrad.
Yeah. So
it's a really nice university. No?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. And DC was great. Like the whole city feels a little bit like Madrid. Like for an American city.
It's got like a European vibe.
Yeah. It's like the buildings are kind of low. You know, it has like more the architecture. Yeah. We walk everywhere. There's a lot of like parks and stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. very cultural too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was kind of the same though, because I went to a British international school, so it was kind of expected for me to study in England. Well, to be honest, my mom, I think, wanted us both me and my sister, to end up in the US. My sister did, but I ended up in England. Eventually I went to study in the US though, but yeah. And what were your expectations with the US? Like,
I think I didn't have any expectations at 18. I was just like going with the flow, see what happens. Yeah, I was just excited to leave and be somewhere new. But definitely in the beginning, it was a bit hard. I think the language differences, cultural differences, especially like studying, it's definitely a bit of a challenge. But, we had a bit of, like, I knew English. I just
was going to say you knew English.
Yeah, but I didn't really speak it often. So at first I would like get tired of speaking English and stuff like that.
Okay. So you would only speak it
so at the beginning, so at the beginning I was mostly being friends with Latin Americans in my school. But yeah, I think later on it's just, and we've talked about this stuff, like how language affects the way you engage with people, I guess, or how your personality comes out.
Yeah.
But I think like maybe after a year or two, I just felt the same in Spanish and English, and
that's good.
I still do. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. And how was your experience with the visa? How did it impact that situation? How did it impact your experience in the US?
No, it definitely was a big deal. It's one of those things that you don't really want to think about, but there's always like this nagging feeling in the back of your head. And I think that's one of the main reasons why, after being there for 11 years, it did feel like a home, but it always felt like a temporary home
11 years? That's a long time.
And 11 years to feel like you're in a temporary place is like, that's a long time. But I think that was one of the main issues, having those thoughts about like, am I going to be able to renew next year? Like, first I was a student, then I was working. And when you're working, I think a lot of people might be familiar or not with the H-1B visa. You literally have to go through a lottery process. And if you have a master's, you get 2 entries into the lottery system. But if you don't, you just have 1. And at the time, I just had 1.
You get 2 entries if you do a master's?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But at the time, I just had 1. So somehow I got it, but it was like probably the worst periods of my life where like you can't control anything. You're just like, am I going to get kicked out of the country in a month? And do I have to leave everything I know?
Yeah.
From one second to the next. And I had friends that happened to them. So thankfully, I think I was lucky for sure. Like literally went to the lottery and I got it. But I ended up, I don't know, something in the back of my head was like, do I really want to stay here? Like, I kind of wanted not to get it and that I could leave it.
Oh my God.
Have an excuse to leave.
I had the same.
Because I remember, like, the moment they told me you got it, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, long term, sure, it's good. And for my career and everything, it's good. But
that's so interesting. I didn't think about that, but I felt the same way. And yes, it is kind of an underlying stress. Yeah. And I know it's not just in America. There's visa issues in many countries, even here in Spain. But I definitely feel like in some countries, I feel like America does make it especially difficult compared to other countries. But no, I felt the same way. Like when I was fighting to get my visa, I was like, do I really want this? Like, is it worth the stress that I'm going through right now? And in the end,
it all worked.
I decided it wasn't worth the stress.
No, and then I guess eventually when I finished my master's, I started working remotely independently. So I'm kind of freelance independently.
But wait, were you freelancing independently in the US or did you have
Yeah, I started doing that while I was still in the US. And the moment
when you got the H-1 visa, was it through a company?
No, that was through a company.
Okay.
Yeah. So I worked with that company for 4 years and then I was tired of the company.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like I remember calling.
Should we lean back? Because my back is hurting a little bit.
I remember calling my lawyer one day because I was so done with like the corporate world and everything. I just wanted to change jobs. And I was like, okay, what can I do? Like, I want to change my job. And he's like, you can't. Like, if you quit your job, like, you only have like 30 or 60 days to get a new one. So that's like super difficult to do.
Yeah.
And he's like, legal advice. You should get married. I'm like, really? That's your legal advice? Thank you. But no, so I had to continue doing the same job. And then that's why I decided to do my master's, because I was like, okay, I need a change while still be able to like stay in the US. And then once I finished that, I started working independently, and I moved to Miami. Because I did want to go somewhere that felt more familiar, but just culturally.
But when you moved to Miami, were you still working that job, or
at that point I started working remotely.
For what company?
For my own.
Oh, and you can do freelance on that.
That's
visa?
the thing. I could do 1 year freelance.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna move to Miami, and then the idea was that you could eventually like invest and get some different type of like business visa, entrepreneur, or whatever. But that's also very complicated. So pretty much, I moved to Miami. We're looking for something like closer to my culture. But then at the end of my year, I was like, do I really want to like continue investing in this country when I'm almost every single year I'm like going through the same process of, am I gonna get kicked out at any moment, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to put down roots, I would say.
Yes, I agree. I feel like it does. It's scary to feel like your future is dependent on whether or not they accept your visa application. And I felt similar to you, but I went to America to study acting, so I did like my OPT, which is like the kind of like a
work experience.
Like a work experience, exactly. Thank you. It's a work experience that you get for a year in the field that you studied in, and I studied acting, so it's quite hard to. It's not like, you get hired in a company, they sponsor you, and that's it. It's a little harder because you work through gigs, by gigs. So it's like, and you have to find an agency that wants to sign you, but agencies don't typically want to sign actors who are on OPT, because then they have to deal with the visa situation, and it's a hassle for them. But as a Canadian, there's something called a T1 visa. And with that visa, you can work get a visa if you work in specific type of fields, but it was mostly like tech stuff, engineering, architecture, whatever, things like that, which is not what I do. But even like, I remember looking at it and I was like, maybe I could do this. I'll do anything at this point. But no, I didn't in the end.
It's kind of like that idea, like how much are you willing to give up to stay?
How much are you willing to give up? How much are you willing to risk as well? How much are you willing to like adapt yourself in order to stay and continue living the life that you have in the States specifically. But you moved from, once you graduated from DC, you were working there for a bit, and then you moved to Miami, you said. And why Miami?
I was just looking for something closer to home. Miami is like very influenced by Latin American culture. So that's pretty much what I was looking for. I guess I was looking to like set down roots somewhere. I don't know, maybe eventually
something
buy
that was
some
more
property or whatever.
Something that was more
something that felt more familiar, but it really didn't feel that way. I don't know why. I think it was always like the same issue of like, am I gonna be able to be here in a year?
Yeah.
Can I actually, like, I can't really make long-term plans. So that was pretty hard, I would say.
When was the moment that you felt like this can never be my home?
That was probably after I left. I think you just look at things differently after. I left kind of against my will at the time.
Right.
Not against my will, like I obviously,
like you wanted
I wasn't
to
gonna overstay my visit or anything.
Yeah.
But I wanted to stay for some reason, even though like at the time I knew I wasn't living my best life or anything. But it's all you know. Like after 11 years, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is all I know pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I left. I went home just to like gather my thoughts and see what else I could do. And ended up staying there for almost 2 years. So I really enjoyed my time there. But I just knew that I didn't really want to live there during the time. It was amazing. I met a lot of new people. I think after getting here, I was like, okay, actually, this is much better for me. I think
once you arrived to Madrid,
yeah, I feel like it fits my personality more.
Yeah.
There's a bigger sense of community. It was a lot easier to meet people. I think just people are very open.
I was gonna say that I feel like America is a very friendly, very friendly country. The people are very open, but I did feel sometimes that maybe it lacked a depth in community. I do feel more a sense of community here in Madrid. Just also the way that the cities are built in Spain. Specifically, I'm talking about Madrid. You know how we have the plaza here. That's all already
every
building.
day when we're bored, we just walk down to the plaza and just sit there and read or talk or grab a coffee. Like you don't need to spend money to go and socialize.
Yeah,
and that's just what builds community.
Exactly. And it's super nice because like there's benches everywhere and you sit down and you see all these kids like actually playing outside. I love New York, but I felt like I rarely saw kids actually playing outside. And here I really do experience that a lot. I see a lot of like elderly people as well. Yeah, it's like people of all ages. Everyone's out. It's just part of the culture. Just to go out and have a beer or like just sit there pretty much. What are you gonna say? No, I was just gonna say I feel like Unrooted sometimes is like a commercial for Spain. For Madrid.
No, this is just one example. I'm sure you can find that stuff.
Yeah. No, it's because we live here, so this is like all of our experiences, and we are enjoying our time here. So, before moving to the US, did like the media, like pop culture, kind of shape your idea of what it was going to be like?
Yeah, I guess. I think I wasn't huge into like pop culture when I was a teenager. No, you know what? I was always into like British stuff. Like I wanted to study in the UK.
Oh, okay.
But that didn't happen. I went to the US. But yeah, I think it helped with like familiarizing yourself with the culture.
Do you think it was easier to adjust, or was it like an unrealistic expectation?
No, yeah, I think it was realistic. Yeah, I didn't feel like culturally it wasn't that difficult for me. Also because, like we mentioned earlier, we were living in cities that were very multicultural. So people are just used to, I don't know, talking to people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And I think that really changed our experience. We lived in these like bubbles, cities that are like very multicultural.
Yeah. I feel like New York City is definitely New York City, Miami, DC as well.
No, DC is super international.
Yeah. They're what we were saying, kind of like bubble cities, where you go in there and you're in America, but you feel like in a way you're not as well, because they're so international, so diverse. And I would say that my idea of the US was heavily shaped by what I was watching, like, because I was obsessed with being an actress. I was obsessed with movies, TV shows. I watched a lot of Disney Channel, a lot of Nickelodeon. And so I had a specific idea of what the US was going to be like. My wallpaper in my room was literally New York City. And it still is. I haven't taken it down. And I also have a Grand Central clock hanging off my wall. So I was obsessed with America, obsessed with going to New York City. And it definitely met my expectations when I got there. It was incredible. And I had an amazing experience in America. But I feel like they do maybe glamorize or romanticize New York City in the movies, obviously. And after some time, that I feel like that glamour does like fade away a little bit after living there for some time. Eventually I was living in Harlem, so I feel like that's the shininess of New York City started to fade away a little bit for me. But that's interesting that you liked a lot of UK stuff.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Little Britain?
No, I did watch like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the cartoons, yeah, I did watch like American shows. But I don't know, like music, I was always into
UK
like
stuff?
British, yeah.
The Beatles or
I'm kind of over now. Yeah, Oasis.
Oasis. Yeah, true. She's conceived in July. And then when you moved away from the US, do you think that like changed once you got to Madrid? It changed your perspective?
Yeah, for sure. I think. Yeah, you just have to like open your mind and have I don't know, have an open mind about the like different places. Again, I kind of I didn't want to leave, but after leaving, I feel like it was a blessing in disguise. And I definitely suggest like anyone who has the opportunity to go to the US and study or work, it's amazing. It's gonna open a lot of doors for you. But yeah, just be aware that it does come with many challenges.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I
maybe
agree.
sometimes it's glamorized or we don't really think about like the legal aspects or the limitations that they put in you.
Yeah.
And I think also like a big thing that was like limiting for me was like after 11 years, I was nothing. Like I was not a resident. I was not a whatever. I was still like technically an alien. So, and I didn't really see the path towards citizenship to a point where I don't have to think about like, you know, is my visa expiring or stuff like that. There is like a very limited path to do that. And it's definitely doable. And some people, you know, sometimes it takes 20 years or something to get there.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. You were there for 11 years and still weren't able to get citizenship. That's wild. But I do agree it is an amazing place to go study and to experience for a certain amount of time in your life. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
I really do. I made so many amazing memories there. I made amazing friends who I miss very much. But I did always feel like I was like kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't my choice, you know. I for a long time, growing up, I always thought that I was going to end up there permanently and I was going to live there forever. And that's what I wanted. And as time went by, I saw more and more that wasn't going to be my reality. And it took me a long time to accept this.
Yeah.
I remember my sister coming to visit me in New York and she saw how much I was struggling with the visa and everything I was trying to do to stay. And she was like, why don't you just move to Madrid? Why don't you just move back to Spain? And I remember like almost crying at the dinner table because I was like, no, I don't want to leave. Like, what am I going to do in Spain? What am I going to do in Madrid? Like, I really didn't want to. And the thought of moving back to Spain for me was like so scary. And it felt like giving up. It felt like failing. It felt like everything I had done up until then to be in the US would have been for nothing and a waste of time. And yeah, that thought really freaked me out. And I went to some crazy lengths to try and stay in the US. And I look back at it now and I'm just like, what was I thinking? What was I doing? Like, you know, and now I'm here and yeah, my perspective has really changed. And I'm just like, I wish I could just go back and tell like, that version of Michelle, like, it's gonna be okay, like little pat on the back, like don't stress so much, like it's not as bad as you think it is, like, and in fact I feel like I'm happier here,
I am for sure,
you know, than I was there, at least in the last maybe time that I was there. Obviously at the beginning I was very, very happy, but towards the end I was just so stressed about everything that and
I think anyone who's in that position, which I know is a lot of people, do whatever you can to stay there, but just know that there's other places where you can apply that knowledge, that, you know, you'll be able to feel more at home. And it doesn't necessarily have to be there. I mean, it's a big country and it's great to make your career, but it's not the only place where you can build a home, I would say.
Sure. It's the most money. America was the most money I've ever made in my life. I missed that. I was actually going to ask you what you miss about the US, and I particularly miss the money that I was making. But
I miss how everything's super easy. Like, you can click a button and you get everything.
Yes. Oh my God. I was addicted to Amazon. You know, that's actually one of the things that I realized when I moved to Madrid. What I was addicted to in America was Amazon.
Yeah, I have packages like every week.
I had packages every day, and I loved it. I had a credit card. I don't have a credit card anymore. I had a credit card, and it was the best thing ever. And I feel like a credit card is something you have to use with caution. And if you use it responsibly, it can be great. And it's just so funny how, like, you want to build your credit score, like you're playing a little game and you're building points. And like, yeah, I had a Chase credit card. It's also an Amazon credit card, and I was buying so many things on Amazon, and I would go to Whole Foods and I would get points from Whole Foods that I could use.
And that's like another very important topic. Like, I feel like everything's so materialistic. Just going back there, I feel like I'm in an ad. I don't know why. Like, I just get ads everywhere. I'm like, what? Like, everything's branded, which I do miss that though a little bit, having brands, because I feel like here, if I need a medicine or if I need something and like I don't know the brands, I'm like, which one do I get? Which one's better? Like, there, you're familiar with the brands.
That's so interesting. I didn't think about that actually, but you're right. That's one thing I noticed about the US is how easily you can buy pharmaceuticals. You can buy, because here, ibuprofen, pretty sure you can.
Why they make us so hard here though?
Well, I understand it. I think I don't think it's super responsible to make pharmaceutical drugs so easily accessible in the US, I feel. Don't you think? Like,
yeah, certain one, but like if I have a headache, I'm not gonna go to the doctor. So I just want my ibuprofen.
But you know how, but like here, you do have to go to the pharmacy to get ibuprofen.
Yeah.
But in the US, you can just, no.
Oh, okay. I thought you
prescription.
Yeah.
No. Oh. No.
But yeah, I was gonna say, like, the brand thing, like, I missed that, but I think it got a little crazy when I was in Miami. Like, all these new buildings started popping up, and they were like the Aston Martin building, the Baccarat, the Volvo, the Mison, like all these luxury brands. And it's like, why are people paying? Like, people are literally paying more money to live in a branded building. Like, that was so crazy to me.
Wait, a branded building?
Yeah, they're like they have, like, the building is called the name of like a luxury store, like a
as in like a residential building?
Yeah. Like, you can live in the Aston Martin. I live next to the Aston Martin. It was crazy.
And you can live in the Aston Martin building?
Yeah. It's like a residential building. Like, I guess people pay more money to like just say like, oh, you know, I live in this like luxury branded building or something. So I think it just gets a little out of hand sometimes. And maybe that's just Miami.
No, it's capitalism.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
But it does, like, I think, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because I was also thinking, like, I feel like Madrid or Spain could have a little more brands. Like, if I, you know, I'm not saying I don't really.
You feel that way?
Yeah, like, sometimes I just want to know what I'm getting. I don't know.
But like specifically in the pharmacy, or
yeah, maybe pharmacy.
Where else?
And no, I don't need that. I'm not saying I need it, but sometimes like there's no equivalent. I just find it weird. There's no equivalent of like Starbucks or stuff like that. I feel like most countries have.
We have Starbucks.
Yeah, but.
As in like a Spanish version of Starbucks?
Yeah. Like in Honduras, we have a specific coffee brand.
Oh.
That like, it's everywhere, and like, I need a coffee.
I get what you're saying. Well, we have Rodilla.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Rodilla. I like their sandwiches, but I know what you mean. They're not really famous for their like coffee or anything like that. But
I mean, there's two sides.
I'm trying to think if there's anything Spanish coffee brand. I don't think so.
Yeah. But it's good too, because I'm like, you have
at least you don't have
shops.
Yeah, at least you don't have like brands like in your face all the time.
Yeah, not at all.
Which is nice. Yeah. So, and when you look back to your experience in the US, do you look back with nostalgia or relief?
I think neither. or both. I don't know. No, I look back at it as a lesson. I think it was a 11-year lesson. It was amazing. I met amazing people, but yeah, it's like it is not like this like romanticized place that we're taught, I guess, from a young age. You know, looking at it from a realistic point of view, it's a great place to make your career and everything. But if you want to set down roots, I think there's a lot more places that you can do that.
I think so too. I think if you're an international living in the US, it's pretty hard to put down roots, to settle down. I mean, it's definitely doable.
Yeah.
My sister lives there, but it's hard. It's not easy. You got to fight for it. And I feel like now it is harder than it used to be. Companies aren't sponsoring international people as much as they used to, I feel. But for me, I kind of look at it with both as well. Like, I do have moments where I think about New York. Maybe like a picture will pop up on my phone. You know how Apple is like, memories, here are your memories, and you see like these random pictures. Or I'm watching a movie or a show, whatever, and I see New York and I'm just like, oh, I get so nostalgic. I think about just, that time that I was like studying and I had my group of friends and we were going out in the East Village and just have these really cool memories on rooftops in the summertime and everything. And I get really nostalgic also because I was like, 23, 24 or whatever. And I'm just like, oh.
So you're more nostalgic about like experiences and saying like experiences for sure, but it can be.
But the relief comes from the fact that I don't have to worry about visa anymore. I don't have to worry about like potentially becoming an illegal person in the US. I don't have to worry about also healthcare. I know this is super random.
No, this is like a huge topic.
It's a huge topic. That stressed me out as well. The relief that I feel about being able to go to the doctors and it's free here for me, and I think for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying that from a point of view of a Spanish person, and I'm not Spanish, but here they allow me to have more like a short, medium-term plan, I would say, where I can become a citizen. Like, normally it's 2 to 5 years. So I can build a life here. Like, I know within 5 or less than 5 years, I'm gonna be a citizen and I'll be able to enjoy every single
aspect of Spanish life.
And just like immediately after I moved here, like you said, yes, I got free healthcare. Like, I'm eligible for free healthcare.
And like, I remember when I moved back and I was able to just like give my ID and I was like, I'm Spanish. I belong here.
Well, you don't even have to be Spanish. Like,
I know. No, literally. I know.
And for me too, because I never experienced that before. I've always had to be in like private insurance and everything. And here's like, oh, I have so many things I need to check. I don't have to worry about like how much it's gonna cost or anything. I can just do my what's it called, like preventative care without having to worry about it.
I literally avoided going to the doctors in the US as much as I possibly could. And also, it was actually so hard to get an appointment in the first place. What is that about? Tell me, please.
Sometimes it's kind of hard here too, but
is it? Really?
Yeah. Maybe I'm still like figuring out the system.
Maybe, yeah. I'm just like I'm not good with doctors. I avoid going to the doctors. So, and is there something that you would have done differently?
No, I mean, I think if I had known, I would just try to stress less, or stress less. Just because knowing that there's other places that you can call home. At the time, it just feels like this is it. Like, if I lose this, I lose everything, whatever. But no, you can still find a new place.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. For me, it was always like America or nothing. I got tunnel vision with it because I felt like it was the only place that I could have like a really cool life. But no, that's not.
No, I feel like there you're usually just working to live, and that's like kind of cliche thing to say.
Yeah.
But it's true, like you rarely have time for hobbies. Well, like one of my main hobbies, I guess. No, actually, I didn't have any hobbies when I was there.
No,
just because everything's so expensive, and you don't really have much time.
Literally, I haven't played this much tennis and paddle in forever.
I have so many hobbies.
Yeah, like there's just I have more time for. Yeah, there's definitely a better work-life balance, is what I would say. And would you ever go back?
Yeah, I would go back, but
to live.
If I would, I don't want to sound cliche, but like maybe if I get married and they get a really good job there or something, I would go back. But I don't think on my own will that I will be looking to go back, unless it's like has to be something like super amazing experience or opportunity.
Same. If I had a really cool opportunity and the visa situation wasn't something that was going to stress me out in a huge way, then I would go back. It's not been like crossed off my list or anything like that. I have a lot of love for the States, and for New York specifically, and Miami. I love Miami. But yeah, it would have to be an opportunity, something that would make going back smooth.
Yeah, like it has to be a reason to go there.
A smooth experience.
Yeah. I don't want to go back just because I got an whatever job. Like, no, it has to be almost like I want to be. If I'm CEO, sure. Like randomly offered to be a CEO, but but no.
Or for love, like you said, if like I met somebody here who was from the States and whatever. And just to wrap up, where do you feel like you belong now?
Right now, I would say here, and like not necessarily Madrid, although Madrid is one of maybe my favorite city that I've lived in.
Nice.
But Spain in general has so much to offer, and again, it sounds like an ad, but there's like beach, like you got the Canaries, which are like a completely different. What's it called? Como climate or like geography?
Environment.
Yeah, like a whole different geography. Like it feels like Hawaii almost, and then you have
ecosystem.
Yeah, ecosystem. You got like big cities, you got beaches, you got mountains. I feel like there's everything here. So I think
we got Ibiza, and then you could go skiing. The north.
And you got Madrid is like I guess they say the New York of Spain or whatever. It's more like a city feel. There's anything you are looking for.
And Barcelona, you got an awesome city and beach. And then the north of Spain, like Galicia.
The food is amazing.
San Sebastian, the food is amazing up there, but also up there, because I've been to Bilbao and I went to a very small town outside of Bilbao called Balmaseda that is gorgeous. It's a village more than anything. It's a village, so beautiful. And I remember when I went there, I felt like I was in Switzerland or something. It's so green. So you got the super, super green, and you got like, the snowy where you can go skiing in the wintertime. And then you got the beach, so very Mediterranean. And then you got the Canary Islands, which gives that, I guess Hawaii.
Got a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Spain's...
We should get paid.
I know. Okay.
But also, I think going back to the previous topics, it's like, like I feel like I belong here, not only because of the people, because the people are going to be amazing here or in the US or everywhere else, but because I'm allowed to have more liberties and like I'm allowed to start a business. It's easier, like, I don't know, they make it easier for like having children, and everything's just friendlier towards foreigners. It's not like they're trying to exclude you from anything and calling you like
extinguish you.
It's like, I'm not an alien here, okay?
Yeah. You know what?
I'm a resident.
You know, when you said that, I was like, oh my God, I know what song I'm going to put for the cover of the episode. And it's going to be, I'm a legal alien.
Oh, yeah.
No.
That's really perfect.
I'll put that one. So has moving shaped your idea of what home is?
Yeah, for sure. I think, well, when you're little, home is just where you're raised, I guess. But as you grow older, it has to do with the people you surround yourself with. And I guess like in our case, it's a lot like our friendships mean home. Like when I was in the US, my friends were my home, I would say. And the same thing here. Also, like going beyond that is just having all these opportunities to, again, like set down your roots. It's like seeing yourself in a place long term, which I think for the first time ever, I'm seeing myself here for the long term. There's so many like services, like we talk about healthcare, we talk about, I don't know, even like maybe retiring here. I don't know, like I could see myself doing that.
That's a good point about like a place where you feel yourself living long term.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good point.
And obviously like every place has pros and cons. We haven't even touched the cons here, but
there are cons here. I know we're hyping Madrid up and putting it on a pedestal, but there are cons.
Yeah, but I used to think home was, because I think specifically when I moved to Miami, home was, you know, having a nice apartment, having a good job, the car, you know, having all these things that in the end end up being more material. I think that was the main thing. And like I remember I moved there, and you should probably touch about this in another topic.
Yeah.
But I bought new furniture. I was like, this is gonna be my home. Like I'm here for the long term, blah blah blah. I bought new furniture. Like I wanted everything to look nice. And a year later, I was like, I left, and I had to like sell all my stuff. And I'm like, that wasn't home. It wasn't my furniture.
Yeah.
It was in the apartment. It was the I guess the community. And here, like we live in, you know, our apartments are much smaller. We don't have all this space, but we have each other.
Yeah. We have each other.
But we have an amazing community, and I think that's what's made it.
Yeah.
And that's what I see, like, going forward. I want to be somewhere where, like, I can walk down to a park, like, at some point if I have kids. I want to be able to, like, just walk down to the park and meet people without having to, like, spend a ton of money. It's more about that. It's more about having those experiences.
Yeah.
Beyond the material.
Yeah. I felt like I did fit into the culture in America better than I did in the UK because maybe my identity was slightly shaped by it with like what I was mentioning, pop culture, the media and everything. I felt a little bit more I fitted in better in the States, but there was still some cultural differences, things that I just didn't really understand. I was like, I don't know if this is a cultural difference, but like our relationship with the environment.
Like
also, when I don't know if this is a cultural thing, but like when I went to the beach in New York, everybody was like blasting music out of their speakers. The trash cans were overflowing. People just use so much plastic in the US. Like I had roommates that would use plastic paper and cups instead of actual plates and glasses because they didn't want to do the dishes. So they would just use plastic plates and cups and then throw it out rather than doing dishes. And I was like, that's something that would not happen in Spain. And also, the beach thing, like in Spain, the beaches are so like respected, and you don't see that. You don't see people blasting music out of giant speakers, and you don't see garbage everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's not that wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Maybe like there's like, I don't know.
Maybe New York is a little more extreme because there's so many people alive. But still, like the relationship with the environment, that's a big one. Yeah, it's not that common. Like,
so that's something that I just didn't really...
We used to recycle in the US, but it wasn't as like strong culture.
As strict as it is here, maybe.
Oh, and also I was gonna say, because I was gonna touch on this, and I can't remember which was the question. Oh, because I was talking about how easy everything is there. Like you can just click a button and like you get food delivered. I mean, you can do that here too. Like everything just gets delivered to your door.
Yeah.
Here, like you have to do things a little more manually. Normally people don't have dryers. We have some, but they're shared. But you have to do things a little more manually.
Yeah.
Before, it used to bother me. Like, I think my mentality before, like in my 20s, maybe I was like, oh, I just want to click a button and get my stuff done. But now it's more like, hey, it's an opportunity for me to go outside and like breathe some fresh air. Like, I have to go and take a walk and like go pick something up in person or go buy something in person. Like it's not only like clicking on Amazon and it'll get delivered right to me. It's like, okay, no, I can actually go for a walk.
Yeah.
Or like an experience to trying to get stuff done.
Yeah, for sure. Would you say that's another cultural difference is the walking in Europe?
Well, we
in
lived
Spain?
in walkable cities, but
yeah, but still, like
but most of the US is not walkable.
Yeah, most of the US is not walkable. It's true. New York is walkable. Although I feel like I took the subway all the time. Every day I took the subway. Here, I almost never take the subway. I'm always walking everywhere. And I'm more than comfortable doing that. But no, in the US, I always had to take the subway. And I think that's one of the reasons that, and like the food is one of the reasons that I lost weight so quickly when I moved back to Spain.
I think it just feels fresher. Because that's also something that's very cliche, like, the food in Europe is better, blah, blah, blah. But no, there's just the taste is so nice. I remember the first time I walked into a Whole Foods in my life, and I was like, why is everything so shiny?
Yeah, it's true. Everything is so perfect, so shiny, the same size.
They didn't expire. Like, I just had vegetables in my fridge for a month and they were still fine.
Yeah.
But no, the food here...
Which is funny because now my bananas, they go bad so fast and I get so annoyed.
There's all these like little inconveniences that maybe before we used to see it as inconvenient.
Yeah.
So now it's like, no, that's better.
It's better for us. For sure.
Our bodies.
Yeah. Okay, we should wrap up.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk about this for so long. So, yeah. Was the US really a home? Maybe not, but I feel like those experiences really shaped our identity and we wouldn't really change it for anything. Yeah, have you guys ever experienced anything similar to this? Do you have a certain relationship with the US or maybe with the UK? I feel like the UK and the US can sort of
I feel like
it's similarities. Yeah. Drop a comment or DM me, and hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a really nice chat. I love just talking about this because I've recently moved here from New York City, so I definitely have like a lot to say on this topic, and I feel like you did too. So yeah, thank you so much, Maria, for joining us.
The studio.
Yeah. It was so great. Thank you so much. This was really fun. And guys, don't forget to follow, subscribe, share, like, comment, all the stuff. And I will see you next week here again. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Mwah. Bye.